I remember playing Slain Back from Hell on Nintendo Switch in December 2017. Despite people complaining about how difficult it was, I loved every moment of the challenge and the dark medieval fantasy setting I had woken up in. It was a game that forced you to calculatingly slog through every inch of the journey if you ever wanted to see the uplifting light of day and leave the filth and doom-riddled shadows behind. Then, when Valfaris was released a couple of years later, I was stoked to jump in and lay waste to all order of foul things during what was bound to be a truly wicked time, with blazing metal setting the tone once more. We had the same kind of rough and uncompromising visuals pull us into yet another dark and exotic adventure, and I was left wondering what morbid ordeal would be created next by the hands of the tormented souls who brought us Slain and Valfaris. It took these miserable wretches 3 years, but by tirelessly channeling and pooling their corrupt energies, they were able to birth something so impure, so unsafe and unsettling. And that shadowy curse upon our festering god-forsaken planet is none other than Valfaris Mecha Therion. Let us join hands and celebrate, basking in blood, bone, flame, and metal as we explore the glorious carnage and chaos the development team Steel Mantis has unleashed upon the world. I trust you will enjoy the video. Despite having an immense appreciation for Slain and Valfaris, I hadn't looked at Valfaris Mecha Therion when it hit Steam. This is because I'm exclusively on Switch and was holding off until it made its way to the platform. Additionally, at the time of this recording, I'm experimenting more with how I cover various titles. I'm shifting things from focusing more on what the game is, how it plays, and what's all involved, to exploring things by creating more of a journey. I'll still highlight certain things, but this way I can exercise greater creativity while leaving you with more to discover on your own. You won't find that Mecha Therion plays like a traditional arcade shooter, nor should you expect it or want it to. While the entirety of the game has you flying a mech through stages that include both horizontally and vertically scrolling sections brimming with enemy waves, projectiles, and boss encounters, it's clear to me the emphasis is simply to share the next chapter of Therion's compelling story. This time, it just so happens that the story is filtered through a shmup-like experience not intended to match the pacing or conventions of typical shooting games, but to offer an interesting blend of ingredients for those willing to drink from its tainted chalice. Take boss fights, for instance. Part of what I loved was stumbling upon helpful tricks while playing. I immediately noticed that my progress came from learning to be a better and more efficient combatant, and had less to do with knowing how and what to dodge the safest way. These things are, of course, still important to survive, though it felt more like they took a back seat because maintaining a spirit of unrelenting fighting was the true driving force. When I unintentionally discovered I could do something during specific boss fights that would stun my adversary and allow me to deal more damage before they recovered, my excitement and appreciation for VMT's design and presentation were significantly amplified. If you played through the game on True Metal mode as I did, which only gives you 1 health to work with, these encounters become fierce life or death struggles that raise the bar where engagement and intensity are concerned. And there is no shortage of bosses, as you'll face both mid-stage and stage-end foes. I recall reaching Stage 5 and thinking, with how much I had already experienced, Stage 5 had to be the final level. I was mistaken and had no idea how much was still in store for me before I rolled credits, yet it never felt like it dragged on. As I progressed through the adventure, becoming more intertwined with the events unfolding, I couldn't help but marvel at the sheer depth. Backgrounds never felt forced or repetitive. Instead, they always offered something interesting to witness from start to finish. I was quite literally traveling through a living, breathing world, not simply flying through stages with generic themes or flashy effects. The crushing soundtrack had me surging with purpose, and the sound effects maintained a high level of satisfaction. Even secret passages offering a moment's reprieve were welcome amidst the ceaseless insanity of hectic enemy waves or the compounding pressure felt when navigating a precarious-feeling section. All these things and more serve as a testament to the team's creativity, passion, and belief in providing a truly worthy and exhilarating experience that stands out from most others. But it's not that they just created a unique world filled with cool characters and places in which we can enjoy excellent gameplay, music, and sounds. They've done more than that. They've captured a feeling, a mood, a magic that is rare. I won't spoil anything here, but the number of times I was surprised by what they did at different times, which altered how and what I focused on and how I needed to play, kept me beyond invested. And this went all the way until the end of the final boss. Every time I thought they couldn't possibly surprise me again, they would pull some stunt where the gameplay changed in one way or another, and it honestly blew me out of the water time and time again. These moments only added to the wild challenges I had been plunged into throughout the entire journey. When I first thought about putting this video together, I was desperate to share segments of wicked boss fights, specific backgrounds, or some of the things that surprised me because of how cool, unexpected, and exceedingly refreshing they were. But the more I played through the levels and overcame each opponent, the more I realized I couldn't ruin the exploration and excitement of discovery for anyone else. As such, I've intentionally limited the gameplay you see in this video because Valfaris Mecha Therion is something you truly need to experience and appreciate yourself. But getting back to my remark about the feeling, mood, and magic they've captured, there's more to it. The story itself, what you see and go through, where you are, all of these things are drenched in a rich and ancient history or lore. When I saw familiar wolf statues or other details tucked away here and there in the background, I couldn't help but think back to my maniacal sword-wielding rampage in Slain back from Hell. You can really feel that it's all the same dark and twisted realm, and you get a real sense for the interconnectedness of everything. From the vile creatures to the stones themselves and the magical energy that dwells within them. Everything you see holds such a charge, almost like you can reach through a veil and touch these things yourself. Additionally, for those who already know who Bathorin is, it was incredible thinking about this character's timeline and Bathorin's role throughout the 3 titles. If you haven't played Mecha Therion, I won't say how things end, but based on how it ends, I'm incredibly excited to see what they cook up next and can only imagine what type of game it will be. And that brings me to mention how impressed I am. The team behind Valfaris Mecha Therion is a very small one, and yet they've pulled off something truly special while running the risk of it not being appreciated in the ways I feel it deserves. They had to make this for themselves first and foremost. They had to ensure they loved it because there was no way they could please everyone who enjoyed Slain and Valfaris with this gameplay style. And they certainly had to do it for themselves because making a shmup that doesn't align with the typical shooter experience means there will be a significant enough chunk of that player base who will either dismiss it without ever playing it, or play it while dragging in their expectations of what it should or shouldn't be. But Mecha Therion is no place for bringing that into the mix, because if that's the lens through which you're trying to view things, you'll miss everything that makes VMT a memorable experience. This is part of why I want to shed additional light and generate interest or excitement for others to check it out. I suggest viewing it like a bubble that contains its own world and set of rules that govern that world within. Occasionally, a bubble such as this floats over to our shmup universe bubble and presses against it. For a brief period, we have the opportunity to peer inside and see how things function. For a time, there is a connection, and we can see both similarities and differences, enjoying the experience for what it is, instead of getting caught up with our own projections. On that note, I'll soon be sharing my interview with Andrew Gilmore of Steel Mantis, where we get into a lot more of the development, challenges, and everything else they faced over that 3-year production period. In closing, Valfaris Mecha Therion is an exquisitely crafted experience that leaves me both satisfied with having beaten the hardest difficulty and intrigued to see what will creep out of the shadows next. A huge thanks to Matthew Cundy for providing me with a review code, and to the members of Steel Mantis who stayed true to their vision, keeping the bloody, beating heart of the world they've woven alive and well for all to partake of. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.